Hi everyone, my name is Jenny Turpin and I'm the host of the Living Pain-Free Naturally Summit. I'm passionate about helping people find the source of their pain, stress and tension, and I give them simple tools and exercises to be pain-free and calm. And today I'm delighted to introduce you to Jodi Sternoff Cohen, best-selling author, award-winning journalist, functional practitioner and founder of Vibrant Blue Oils, where she's combined her training in nutritional therapy and aromatherapy to create unique blends of organic and wild-crafted essential oils. She has helped over 50,000 clients heal from brain-related challenges, including anxiety, insomnia, and autoimmunity. And today she's going to talk to you about essential oils to boost the brain and heal the body, which is also the title of her book. So welcome, Jodi.
Oh, welcome. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's so fantastic to have you on. Thanks so much. Do you want to start by sharing a little bit about your story and how you ended up working with essential oils?
Yeah, it's really necessity is the mother of invention. I was pretty corporate, and then my second child was pretty tricky. And I kept taking parenting classes, thinking it was how I was talking to him. We would cue him, like, look at my nose. He couldn't, he was all over the place. One day at a birthday party, he was being really well behaved, and my friend actually complimented me on that fact. And then another mom passed out a snack. I think it was Ritz crackers, and he Jekyll-Hyde in an instant. And she said, "Oh, wow, look at him shift with food. You know, my brother was on Ritalin his whole life, and it turned out he was allergic to weird foods. You should take him to a nutritionist." And I thought, that's easy. I've done everything else. Why not? The nutritionist identified his allergy or sensitivity to corn, soy, and dairy. When we took him off of that, the next day he could look at our nose. And I was so blown away by like this blind spot that I went back and learned more about nutrition and how it impacts the body and the brain. And I was trying to help other moms with squirmy kids. And so I'm based in Seattle with Bastyr, and they offer trainings in muscle testing, which is a really efficient way to kind of drill down to the root of the problem and the best solution, even if, you know, the child's all over the place. So when the next shoe dropped, my then husband was severely depressed to the point where I was afraid he might die on my watch. And so there was an intervention. We moved him out of state, basically, to a residential treatment facility. And once I knew he was okay, and it wasn't my job to kind of keep him okay, my adrenals just ran out of gas, and it hit really hard. My kids were 5 and 7. I would get up with them, make them breakfast, pack their lunch, take them to school, come back home, crawl into bed, and set the alarm for 5 minutes before pickup. And I knew enough about nutrition and what was going on, and nothing I tried really seemed to help. Nothing hurt, but it wasn't really making the impact I was looking for. And because I had been such a, Uber volunteer, I had helped a friend with a fundraiser a couple of weeks before, and she showed up with this huge box of essential oils as a thank you present. And as she was dropping them off, she said, you have been so chronically stressed for so long, which means high cortisol, which means chronic inflammation, which means your gut is probably so inflamed that nothing you're ingesting is actually getting into your system. Oils work differently. You can smell them. You can, topically apply them. This might help. And I thought, why not? I've tried everything else. I'm game. So I muscle tested the box for my adrenals, and I got a very strong yes. And then I was trying to kind of narrow down what oils to use. I thought it would be one oil, and I kept getting the same 5 oils, which confused me until I recalled that, they're liquid. Maybe I can combine them. And so then I shift to testing each bottle, like how many drops of this, how many drops of this. And I made my first blend, which is now our adrenal blend, put it on my low back because I knew enough about physiology to know that was where the adrenals were located. And I felt like myself for the first time in weeks. I was like, oh, I could run. I could go to the supermarket. I could clean the house. All the things that felt completely paralyzing and overwhelming suddenly felt like a possibility. And so I kept making things up, to kind of help my sleep, my anxiety, my pain. And when I started to feel better, my friends were really intrigued. They wanted to try it. And then there was, I was part of a nutritional therapy association. And at the time it was really affordable. It was like $200 to be a vendor. And my friend said, we should try this. And I kind of thought, well, someone must be doing this. So I went online and was very, very surprised to see that no one was formulating blends to balance the organ systems and the regions of the brain. And further, that they made it so complicated. I was almost grateful that I didn't have the mental capacity to research, because I would have just felt unqualified and probably done nothing. So we kind of made, we mocked up a test kit. We went to the event. I think we made 100 of them, and we sold out in the first hour. And that was validation that this was something that would be well received. So that's really how I started.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for sharing that. In your book, you talk about the 5 steps to calm anxiety, sleep better, and reduce inflammation. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, I'm fortunate to count among some of my closest friends these really phenomenal doctors in the Seattle area. And one was my friend, Dr. Christine Schaffner, was talking about how people come in, they've seen 30 doctors. They have basically file cabinets that they're bringing with them with all of their test results. And she's like, I wish they realized that was just a data point. Like, it really isn't about your test results, because things can change. It really boils down to, are you sleeping? Is the garbage leaving the body? Drainage. We all know to detox, and we maybe mobilize the toxins. That's a bit like yelling fire in the movie theater. If you don't open the exit door, the only thing that's going to happen is things just reposition, but they don't actually leave. Are you able to calm your nervous system and calm stress? Are you able to calm inflammation and modulate your immune system? And what I realized is, I don't think oils work for everything. Like, every day I get someone who says, someone's like, can it make my vision better? I'm like, no. Will it cure my cancer? No. There are a lot of things that people should go to a doctor, but for those 5 things, I think oils are really powerful. If you're, not happy, not exactly where you want to be, and you want to calm your anxiety, you want to start either falling asleep with ease or sleeping through the night, you want to make sure that when your body is detoxifying, the garbage is leaving and not recirculating. Those are really great, modulating the immune system. That's where oils really shine, and they're really fabulous.
And so how do essential oils, how can they bring the body, brain, and emotions into balance?
Well, there are a number of ways. I mean, there's a lot of research that just shows one of the key things that I realized with oils pretty quickly is that the challenge of balancing the brain with most remedies is that they can't actually get into the brain. It's like the ambulance that's stuck in traffic and can't get to the scene of the accident. They're not going to save any lives. So the blood-brain barrier is almost like the security system that surrounds the brain. And it has these really tight junctions that only let super small fat soluble remedies through, like essential fatty acids. We all know, oh, it's so great for the brain. It's because it can actually cross the blood-brain barrier. So the fact that essential oils are fat soluble and so small, they can get through. And what's really interesting, the nose cells are actually brain cells. They go directly to the emotional center of the brain, because smell is so critical in our survival. We smell water, we smell food, we smell predator odor. So it gives us kind of this superior access channel.
And you just talked about sniffing oils. How can that help with anxiety?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of ways that you can do it. There's a ton of research. It's interesting. I'll get into kind of the molecular structure of oils, but citrus blends have really small molecules. So orange, lime, grapefruit, neroli, bergamot are the more expensive ones. But just smelling an oil, like directly below your nose, within like 3 seconds, you can smell it and it registers. So if you've never played with oils and you just want to test it, is this even something that might work for me? Orange is the biggest bang for the buck. It's usually quite affordable. It's usually pretty high quality, because you don't need to make artificial orange. They grow pretty rampant, and it works really well. And here's another interesting trick that I include in the book. The 2 hemispheres of the brain do different things, right? So if you're having an anxiety attack or a panic attack, that is the right hemisphere, and it's the forehead, the right frontal lobe, that's overactive. So there's a whole branch of chiropractic called functional neurology that are using different strategies to kind of balance the hemispheres of the brain, like eye tracking, smelling, movement. So one of the things that you can do, take your little bottle of orange essential oil, plug your right nostril, smell through your left nostril, just honestly 3 to 7 breaths. That will, the nostril travels directly to the frontal lobe, the forehead. It will stimulate that area of the brain, calm the 2 hemispheres, and the panic attack will subside.
Fantastic. What about sleep? How important is sleep, and what can someone do if they're suffering, from not sleeping?
Yeah, if you're not sleeping, it's almost impossible to heal. That's really when your body rests, restores, and rejuvenates. And what's interesting about sleep is it's not one size fits all. Like people say, oh, lavender is good for sleep. And the answer is, sometimes it's kind of like when people say like, oh, if you put your baby in the swing, they'll calm down. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it makes people more hyper. So what's interesting is lavender in blends works better than lavender individually, because blends kind of synergize and optimize, the various components. But what we found is that there are really 3 underlying sleep challenges. There's problems falling asleep, which is the pineal gland releasing melatonin. And there's a number of reasons for that. It could be that some of the environmental toxins like fluoride, aluminum, kind of calcify around the pineal gland and make it more challenging to release melatonin. Oils can be used to kind of detoxify that. So we have a blend called circadian rhythm. If you're having trouble falling asleep, we have you put it not on your face, but kind of around the pineal gland, which is right in the middle of the brain, level with the eyes, and that triggers the natural release of melatonin. If you're waking up at 1 a.m. and you're wide awake, you could go clean the kitchen. That's a blood sugar wake up. Your blood sugar dips too low, cortisol is released. And then what happens is, from the blood where the energy is released, it's ideally carried into the cells, and then you're sleepy again. So supporting the pancreas and carrying it into the cells can help you fall back asleep. So we have a pancreas oil. And then the third issue could be if you wake up around 3 and you're slightly groggy and maybe you use the bathroom. That's often a detox issue. The reason you're using the bathroom is because your liver, gallbladder are overburdened, and so they push the toxins to the kidneys and you have to eliminate them. So supporting the liver and the gallbladder before you go to bed can help you sleep through the night.
And what about if someone's in pain or stress? So their body's going to be out of balance at some level. How do you help find the source of that pain and stress and heal the imbalance?
Well, I really do feel that if it's an imbalance, people should do an in-person visit with a practitioner to identify the source of pain. We do have some oils, like one thing, the parasympathetic blend that I'll talk about a little bit. Your autonomic nervous system controls your automatic functions, and it has kind of 2 speeds: the you're in danger, let's survive, fight or flight, sympathetic branch, and then the you're safe, it's safe to heal and restore and repair, calm down, parasympathetic branch. And the gear shift is the longest nerve in the body that most people have never heard of. It's called your vagus nerve, cranial nerve number 10, starts at the base of the skull, splits, winds around both sides, and then through every organ of digestion. It's most accessible here, and especially it's open to being stimulated. Stimulation is kind of what literally gear shifts it. But what's interesting is that it's the vagus nerve that triggers the release of acetylcholine, which is kind of the anti-inflammatory neurotransmitter. And so what people don't realize is pain is nerve signals. And so sometimes if you can control the signals, you can control the experience. So where I have everyone start is just applying this stimulatory blend, parasympathetic, behind the earlobe on the mastoid bone, to kind of help with the signaling. And sometimes that's enough. Sometimes it's a structural imbalance, and going to the chiropractor will help. Sometimes it's other things. It can be a variety of things. And I feel like it would be unprofessional and irresponsible to say there's one size fits all, but that's a really good place to start.
Fantastic. And what about if someone's completely new to essential oils, doesn't know anything about them? What would you say to them? Where would they start?
Well, the 2 easiest ways to start are, just to buy orange and smell it, or to start with Epsom salt baths, which are great for pain. I like 2 cups of Epsom salt, 1 cup of baking soda. And then I had some borax now with kind of the viral stuff that's going on, just a teaspoon. and like 3 drops of lavender, and I just mix it in the bathtub and then add the really hot water. That's a really easy, safe way to start. You know, parasympathetic, we kind of call it our gateway drug. It's a great place to start because it helps to calm the nervous system. And you know what people don't realize is you can be eating the perfect diet, and if you're eating under stress, you're not absorbing all of it, you know, and assimilating it. So it really enhances what you're already doing.
And what about if someone's in pain? We've talked a bit about anxiety. Are there specific oils that you can use for pain?
Yeah, my favorite is helichrysum. It's really, really powerful for pain. And you know, some of the other ones like basil, marjoram. We have a blend called Nerve Repair that's great. Like I had a couple of friends go through chemo and they lost feeling in their extremities, and so they said that was incredibly helpful. Or some women that have explant surgery, they found that to be very helpful. And then we also have an anti-inflammatory blend that causes or helps to kind of calm inflammation. So if someone's in extreme pain, I like to kind of help address the symptom so it's not overwhelming while also looking to address the underlying issue.
And you're talking about combining oils. Why do you combine oils? Why don't you use them? There are obviously some that you can use separately, but what's the benefit of combining them?
You know, it's really interesting. I'm such a research nerd. And when you start looking at the research, all the research is on combinations. There is an amplification. It's kind of like you can eat an apple. Apples are great. But if you kind of cut it up and combine it with other flavors in a salad, it's delicious. You know, or even color, right? We have the primary color. We could all go around only wearing bright red, bright yellow, or bright blue. But when you combine colors and add gradients, it gives you much more flexibility and options.
And you've said earlier, one of my questions was, is there an oil for everything? You said, no, there isn't.
I don't know. I mean, I really am a fan of personal responsibility. You know, I feel like you need to, your health is your responsibility. And oils are fabulous for certain things. They can kind of dilate vasculature to help with circulation. They can be used to stimulate acupuncture points. They're really fabulous for some things, but for other things, they don't replace a doctor. You know, and they work better when you use them in combination with dietary changes, lifestyle changes, supplements.
And you talk about using them topically. You don't ingest them.
Well, it's not, I mean, it's funny. There are some big companies that really want you to burn through them quickly. So what's the fastest way to burn through them? Drink them or diffuse them 24/7. They'll be gone very quickly. I'm really about sustainability and efficiency. You know, you don't need to fill an entire room with a scent. You can just smell it. And anyone who tries this, buy an oil, open it up, smell it, see how quickly you're saturated. You know, you don't need to eat the whole buffet bar. You get your plate, you eat that and you're full. So it's not that it's bad. I just think that it's wasteful and there are more efficient ways to use it. I also have found that topical application, it's kind of amazing how quickly things get in through the skin. You know, we know that we use hormone creams or nicotine patches. That's a really underutilized strategy, especially, you know, our digestive channel is so overburdened and can often be inflamed. And it's a little bit like a freeway. You know, I mentioned that I live in Seattle. The freeways are always congested. So people take the side streets because they get to the same place and it winds up being more efficient. So if your digestion is compromised in any way, you know, you can topically apply these remedies or inhale them and they get to the same place.
Fantastic. You've been doing research with the brain and essential oils. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, the research that's been carried out with the brain regarding essential oils?
There really isn't. I mean, it was interesting. I've been working on my book for a couple of years and I compiled everything I could find in the book. My general feeling is that research is carried out by companies that make a lot of money. And if you're not, if you're not a big pharmaceutical company, there's less research. So it's not like, it'd be great if people were really looking into it, you know, but like vitamin D works for almost everything and you'll see research on it, but no one's making a fortune on vitamin D, so it gets downplayed.
Fantastic. Do you have an action point that people could put into place straight away? something that
Yeah,
you could,
yeah. If you go to, I mean, my biggest action point is really activating your parasympathetic nervous system. And there are tons of ways that you can do that. And, you know, oils to me is the most efficient. One of my mentors is a doctor named Tis Karazian, who's basically been talking about the vagus nerve for decades, but his strategies for activating them were things like splash your face with freezing water, you know, put your face in an ice bucket, gag yourself with a tongue depressor, you know, gargle until you want to cry. No one does that. Compliance is terrible because it sounds horrid. But if you say, take an essential oil and just dab it behind your ear and it kind of smells good and, you know, you can put it in your pocket and remember it, people do that. And so I compiled at boostthebrainbook.com/gift 25 strategies. You know, one is like use your tongue like a paintbrush and paint the roof of your mouth, you know, sleep on your right side, breathing techniques, things that everyone can do. You don't need to spend any money, but just noticing how that kind of calms your nervous system and your brain.
Fantastic. Do you want to share your free gift with us today?
Boostthebrainbook.com/gift.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for coming on today, Jodi. Do you have any last words before we finish?
I mean, the only thing that I will say is that I think, given everything that's going on right now externally, we may feel like we have no control, you know, like it's almost like we're in a water slide and it's just going to take us where we're going. But I think that there's a great quote by Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl: between the stimulus and the response, there is a pause. And in that, you know, there's a space actually, and in that space lies your power. And I have started to talk about the parasympathetic pause. When you're able to calm your nervous system, it can calm the pain, it can calm the overwhelm, it can calm all the external noise for a moment, and then you get to choose how you react. And that is incredibly empowering. And I just want to remind people right now that you always have the power to choose how you react.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Jodi. Have a great day.
You too. And thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on, and thanks for listening today. And don't forget to tune in to all our other amazing speakers in the Living Pain-Free Naturally Summit. Bye.